Before we jump into today's show, I've got a really exciting announcement to make. The autumn cohorts for Start Your Podcast group program are now open. There are 5 dates between September and October, and it's a 6-week program that will get you launched before Christmas. So if podcasting was on your to-do list this year, if you really want to get your podcast up and done by the end of 2023, then come and join me for one of those cohorts and let's make it happen. I have a free masterclass available for you called Understanding the Power of Podcasting. You can go over to donnaeade.com/masterclass, watch the masterclass and get access to that enrollment. I hope to see you in one of the autumn cohorts very soon. That's donnaeade.com/masterclass. Let's get back to the show. You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK, the place to be if you are a UK wedding professional looking to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eade, 10-year wedding photography veteran and CEO at the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors. If you want to grow and streamline your business, this is the podcast for you. Make sure you hit subscribe where you listen or join our email list at www.spwv.co.uk. You'll find the sign up form at the bottom of every episode, and by doing so, you won't miss a thing. So let's jump into today's show. To the podcast, everybody. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Now, I've actually already recorded this episode. It was done in my last batch, but not only did I get fed up with in my video my logos being the wrong way around, but I also felt like I was a little bit too in the middle of what I was going through for that recording to go up. So I thought I would record it again because now I've had a little bit of time, things have changed a little bit and I have been able to help myself a little bit. So I never want to kind of come on the podcast and bring people down. I always want to try and be positive, but the fact is, it's not always that way for everybody all the time, is it? And recently, in the last couple of years, it has been a struggle for a lot of people. And what I wanted to come to you with was a bit of my story. And this isn't what I normally do on the podcast, but I feel that it is important for people to understand that they're not alone. And I feel that given the situations that we have all been through in recent times, it is important for people to hear other people's stories so that they know they are not alone. So for me, the sun is barely in the sky anymore, and it is something that I am struggling with. And I also feel that there has also been a little bit of a delayed reaction to the pandemic. And I don't know if any of you have felt that way, but I feel like for me personally, I'm an introvert. So that means that I actually need time on my own, in my own space, quiet time where I can recharge my batteries. So almost for every couple of hours I spend out with friends in an evening, I need at least those couple of hours, if not more, at home on my own to recharge and just feel okay again. So it can be quite difficult. It was very difficult when I was working outside of the home and working in an office with other people. I struggled with that and it took a toll on my mental health. Now, I will tell you straight up front, I was diagnosed with depression when I was 16 years old, and I have been on and off medication since I was 16. I'm now 40. And it's been a trial. It's been one of those things that I can get very, very sad for no apparent reason when everything in my life seems to be okay, especially in comparison to some others that have not got it as good as I have. What do I have to be sad about? What do I have to be depressed about? But the reality is that it is something that is just in me, and I kind of have to accept that it's something that I am going to have to deal with throughout my life, and it's how you deal with it that's important rather than the fact that you have got it. Also around 6 years ago, that depression was topped with anxiety. I started to get very anxious about being in certain areas around certain people, and obviously the pandemic exacerbated that anxiety to no end. So I found that when I was put on furlough, I actually felt better. So a lot of people struggled, and I completely understand if you are an extrovert, how being locked in a house, especially if you were on your own or just with your family, would have been very difficult for the length of time that we were in lockdown. But for me as an introvert, it was a blessing because I wasn't having to be out there amongst people with this raging pandemic going on, which would have just increased the anxiety levels that I usually had. So I felt like, actually, okay, I'm one of the lucky ones in that respect, that I feel okay being at home and I'm happy at home, and I'm in a better position mentally now than I was previously. In fact, I was able to come off of my medication during 2020 because I felt so calm being at home. That said, I feel like when we are in this kind of awkward stage, and I'm recording this 2 days before it's going up. So we just had the announcement that masks are now compulsory again in shops. And there is a possible potential lockdown rumoured. This time is making me anxious because I am now not required to stay at home. People aren't required to stay at home. Up until today, people weren't required to wear masks. Social distancing was optional. People are hugging and kissing, and being out there in that has increased my anxiety again. And then on top of that, we have the change in the weather, which I do get affected by. So I always find it harder when it is darker, when it is winter, to cope. And I have now started taking a vitamin D supplement in the hope that that is going to help. But I've only recently started taking that, so it's going to be a little while before I see if the results of that are going to make any difference. But I find it just really hard to get out of bed. And I struggled so much the other week that I was literally having a vicious argument with myself in my head over what was the point in getting up, and why shouldn't I just stay in bed? What would the difference be? Who would care? What's the point? And I was very angry and down on myself. And then the other part of me, and this is not the loving angel part of me, this was another vicious part of me, was going, get off your ass. Get out, get up, you need to go and do this, you need to go and do that, you need to do the other. So it was just piling on all this guilt, and I could hear it in my head. I actually stopped and I was listening to myself, and I was like, what on earth is going on with you? And I'm very lucky that I have a health coach, and she was listening to me talking about this argument. And I said, I just feel so guilty that I'm not doing enough. And she said to me, you carry a lot of guilt. And I'm actually going to talk about that in a couple of episodes' time. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast, do subscribe and listen to my guilt podcast. It's coming out literally 2 weeks' time. But yeah, there's overwhelming guilt, there's anxiety, there's, great sadness. I'm not going to say depression, but great sadness, and just feeling unhappy in the situation that I'm in, and I don't like it. And I can just feel myself closing in. And I know that for some, they also get affected by the seasons. So I want you to know that you are not alone. I know that there are others that maybe don't suffer with depression or anxiety, but they do have things in their life at the moment that is making them terribly, terribly sad. From guilt to work stress to financial hardship. It is a struggle, and your feelings are totally valid. You are entitled to feel the way you feel about your situation, and you do not need to carry any guilt about somebody else's situation being worse than yours. So why should you feel this way? Because you are entitled in your moment to feel how you feel. Now, I am not a counsellor by any stretch of the imagination, and if you are in grief, to me that is an entirely different ball game that I am not going to touch today because I am not qualified. But I wanted to talk about what works for me, and what I'm trying to do this time, because I really don't want to go to the doctors and say I'm feeling really low and then put me back on tablets. I just don't want to do that. Now, if the case is that what I'm doing doesn't help, then I will have to do that. I'm not above, biting that bullet, as it were. If you need to be medicated, then it needs to happen. It can help, and I've seen it help. I've been helped by it, but I want to see if I can fix this myself whilst I'm being very aware of it. I think other times I've got myself so low that I've hit that rock bottom place and gone further and not been able to see the nose in front of my face. And I feel like with working with my health coach, I am actually much more aware of how things are affecting me and what is going on inside me. And I am doing more of that self-care on a regular basis where I'm checking in with myself, that I feel that I'm not in that situation where I have to go to the doctor. I can try other things first. So the first thing is the vitamin D. The second thing is exercise. Now, I hate exercise, I'm not going to lie. Don't get me wrong. Once I have done it, I feel fantastic. But just if there is any effort involved in getting me started, if I've got to get my coat and my shoes and my gloves and my scarf and my hat on and go outside, it's not happening. If I have got to get in the car and go to a gym, it's not happening. And I feel like for me, accountability is a big thing. So I can't just stick a YouTube video on and do that. I managed to do it for 60 days. In the first lockdown, I did yoga and I did it for 60 days, and then I fell off the wagon, didn't do it for a couple of days, and then that was it. It was gone. I need the accountability. So for me, I have joined a new membership, and I will link it in the show notes. It's called Vitality Rooms, and it is run by Catherine Chapman. Catherine actually came on the podcast, so I will link her episode and that series because it was a mini self-care series, and I think this time of year it could really help some people. So do go back and listen to that. We talked about digital detox in the first episode. I think Catherine's was the second episode where we were talking about exercise. We talked about nutrition with Victoria Bell, and we did some meditation breath work with Syra Hassan from Hypno for Ladies. So definitely check that out. I think that those things can really, really help. But I joined her membership because I needed that accountability. Now, there is no particular accountability in it, but she does 6 live classes a week, and I have told her I'm going to show up to 4 classes a week, and I told her which ones I was going to attend. So I know that she's going to know if I don't turn up to one of those that I attend, and then I will feel like I've let her down. So again, that guilt thing, but accountability, like I'm telling her I'm going to show up, so I'm going to show up. So that has really helped. I've done a week of that so far. This is the second week. I'm really enjoying the classes. She does variations of Pilates. So we do a boxing one called Piloxing, which I really enjoy. There's a HIIT Pilates, so high intensity interval training with Pilates moves, and then mat Pilates. And she does 6 classes a week, 2 of each. And so I've committed with myself and told her that I'm going to do 4 classes a week. And that is what I'm committing to. And I feel good after I've done it. Was yesterday morning, a struggle to get up and do it? Absolutely, it was. It was like, but I feel okay now, because after that first week, I was aching so much after each one. I was just like, but I'm feeling okay now. I don't want to feel all that achiness. And guess what? I've got up today and I actually don't feel anywhere near as bad as I did last week with the aching. So it just goes to show how quickly your body can react to exercise. So the vitamin D is one thing I'm doing. The exercise is another thing I'm doing. Obviously, I am talking about it with my health coach, and I am letting my partner in on it as well. You know, keeping people that you live with in the dark about how you are feeling is not great. It's not a great way to live your life. Your partner should be the one person that you are free to talk to about how you're feeling. And if you haven't got a significant other at home with you to talk to, then go to a parent, go to your best friend. Everybody needs one person that they can say, do you know what? I'm not feeling great. And this was another conversation I had with my health coach where I was saying, you know, everybody says that you shouldn't be like saying that you feel bad because that's a reinforcing in your head. But, you know, sometimes I just feel bad. Why can't I just feel bad? And she said to me, okay, Donna, here's what I suggest. Whenever you're talking to anybody outside of your home, and this is outside of that one person that I just said, you tell everybody you're great. But your one person should be the one person that knows exactly how you're truly feeling in that moment. So you can vent to them, you can tell them how bad you're feeling, because you should never hide how you're feeling from everyone, because that's when you can get into trouble. That's when the low points can get so low that you can't pull yourself out of it. And if nobody knows that you're feeling that bad, nobody can help you. So I always want you to have just at least one person that knows the real truth of where you are at. But that positive reinforcement of telling other people that you feel good, it's helping to reprogram your brain, apparently. I am no expert on that, but apparently it is. So you can try that. You can try the positive reinforcement, the affirmations, maybe journaling might help you. I know I struggle to do that on a regular basis. I just find it hard. I just feel like for me, it's not necessarily something that's working at the moment, but it's not to say that it won't in the future. But what I'm trying to say with this episode is that we are still living with this pandemic. We are still suffering as an industry. And if you are not okay, it's okay. You are not alone. Please reach out to people that you trust and get some support. I know a lot of people who have lost their businesses over the last couple of years. I know a lot of people who have lost loved ones through this, and it has been a devastating time. And I feel like there is now a mental health pandemic upon us, and that people are really struggling. So if you are feeling low, do what you need to do to look after you. We are moving into a quieter period for the wedding industry. So this is time to reflect and to take care of you, and to just make sure that you're doing what you need to in your business, but you're also taking time for yourself to make sure that you're okay. always check in with yourselves. So I will definitely link to that self-care group of podcasts in the show notes so that you can get access to those. If you head over to the website at bit.ly/WPC UK 084, you will find the show notes there. Those episodes will be listed. I will also put some useful numbers into those show notes for you as well if you are feeling low. I highly recommend comedy. Nothing is like, they say laughter is the best medicine, and I seriously find that even if it doesn't sustain you for long, just having that distraction of being made to laugh, we have a life that is worth living, and we need to remember the joy in every moment. So I would urge you to book yourself a comedy show, watch a DVD, watch a sitcom, something that makes you laugh, and have a good hearty laugh, because even if it doesn't sustain you for that moment in time, you're forgetting your worries, you're forgetting your troubles, and you're just able to be in that moment. So stay safe, look after yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.